Hello everyone, my name is Afiq. How are you feeling today? Good? Are you ready to learn? Because today we are going to explore the world of grammar. Now, I have prepared you some surprises. So here with me, I have two stuffed animals. One is called Cookie, and this one is called Neko. Say hi to both of them. Hi Cookie and Neko. Okay, so what can you say about Cookie? Orange, round, and bright. Yes. How about Neko? White, stripes, and lovely. So all those descriptions are called as adjective. Well, what is adjective? Adjectives are words that describe nouns. It has two functions. One, to elaborate noun. For example, I say, I have a book. But what kind of book? So this is where adjective comes. I have a blue book. So what kind of book? A blue book. So blue here is the adjective. Okay? So that's the first function, to elaborate noun. The second function is to modify noun. And what does it mean by modify noun? Okay, let me tell you something. Okay, let me give you an example. If I say I have a white book, so it means my book is white in color. So I have white book. White book. But then if I say she has a red book, so the book is in red in color, this color. So she has a red book, I have a white book, and maybe he has a yellow book. So this is yellow book. So what does it mean is that the adjective yellow, white, and even red are modifying the noun. So if I say I have a book, so what kind of book? And I say I have a yellow book, so this is a yellow book. If I say I have a white book, so this is a white book. And if I say I have a red book, this is a red book. So this means that adjective modifies the nouns that I am talking about, which is the book. Now let's move on to the forms of adjective. Generally, adjective has its degrees of comparison. It is called as comparative adjective and superlative adjective. Comparative adjective is used to compare two nouns. For example, okay, I have this green book, I have this yellow book, but look at these two, the size of these two books. Okay, so this one looks bigger than this. So if we are comparing the size of this book and this book, we will use the comparative adjective. And how do we use comparative adjective? It's basically like this. So you have the adjective. Well, we are comparing the size. So in this context, we will say maybe big. The adjective is big. So big plus er plus than. Okay, so this yellow book is bigger than this green book. On the other hand, this green book is smaller than this yellow book. So what is the adjective that I used there? Small. I add er and than. So smaller than, bigger than. So that is how you use comparative adjective. Now, what if I have 3 books? So many books. Ta-da! 3 books. I have red books, I have yellow book, and last but not least, I have green book. So if we are comparing 3 or more nouns, we will use superlative adjective. So if before in comparative adjective, we put er at the end of an adjective, for example, big, plus ER, bigger, and then we put than. So this yellow book is bigger than this green book. But in superlative, the formula is different. For example, this yellow book is bigger than this green book, but this red book is bigger than this yellow book. So do I need to say this red book is bigger than these two books? No, we cannot say that. So how to form superlative adjective? This is how you do it. So in this context here, the adjective used is big, okay, because we are comparing the size of these three books. So we will put the at the beginning, and then the adjective plus est. So the red book is the biggest among the three books. Okay, do you get me? So the red book is bigger than? No, that's comparative. Is the biggest among the three books. Okay, now you are well informed of the forms of adjective. The first one we have comparative adjective, which we put ER at the back of an adjective, and we also add the word than. So for example, my blue pen is prettier than your blue pen. Okay, so and then we have superlative adjective to compare three or more nouns. For example, my blue pen is the prettiest among all other blue pens. Okay, so now you know the form. In adjective, we also have irregular adjective. What are the examples? We have good, bad, and then we have words that have more than 3 syllables. For example, expensive, beautiful. In the English language, there is no such word as good, gooder, goodest. No, because we use good, better, and best. And for bad, bad, worse, and worst with a T. So how about the words that have 3 syllables or more? For example, beautiful, beautiful. What else? Amazing, amazing. What else? Fantastic, fantastic. So this kind of adjective that has 3 or more syllables will have a different form of comparative and superlative adjective. For example, the word expensive, expensive. So 3 syllables. So if that's the case, we will use the word more plus the adjective and then the word than. So comparative adjective for expensive is my book costs more expensive than yours. Okay, so more expensive than yours. So how about its superlative adjective? It will be my book costs the most expensive. So we put the word the and the word most and the adjective itself, expensive, the most expensive. So that is how we form the adjectives. For the regular comparative adjective, we put ER at the back of the adjective and then. So my pen is prettier than yours. The superlative, the regular superlative adjective, we put the word the and then the adjective and the est. So my blue pen is the prettiest of all. So that is for the regular. What about the irregular? We have adjective like bad. So bad, is it better? No, it's bad, worse, the worst. Okay, and how about the 3 syllables or more? We put, in comparative adjective, we put more expensive than. For example, my pen is more expensive than your pen. And the superlative adjective, my pen is the most expensive of all. Okay. Now you know the functions of adjective, the forms of adjective, and last but not least, I will teach you the sequence of writing adjective. What does it mean? It means if you have more than one adjective. For example, this book. This is a black book. So the adjective is black because the color of the book is black. So this is a black book. But how do we elaborate more on this book? It is black and it is also big. So we want to use big to describe this book. But we also want to use black to describe this book. So we put the two adjectives together in a sentence. So how do we do that? It's simple. Just remember this sequence. We start with the number. What is the quantity of the noun that we are talking about? One book, two books, three books, four books. For example, I have one book. Okay, so the number of the book. Or I can say I have a book. And then we move on to the O, opinion. What do you think of this book? This book I think is heavy. So I have a heavy book. And then move on to the size. What about the size? Is it big? Is it small? It's big. So I have a heavy, big book. And then moving on to the age. Is it related to this book? Age? No. So I don't want to use that. So and then moving on next to the shape. So the shape is square shaped. So I have a heavy, big, square shaped book. What else? C. What is C? The color of the book, black. So if we want to use the color, I have a heavy, big, square, black book. You see? Just follow the sequence. What else? Origin. So it is not stated here. The origin, for example, Malaysian made or China made, for example, like that. And then the material used. Well, it's paper. Everyone knows book is made of paper. So I don't want to use that also in this example. And last but not least, the purpose of it. What is the purpose of something? For example, this is for reading. So reading book, a reading book, for example. Let us recap the sequence. So I have a heavy, big, square, black reading book. So these are the sequence. Okay, I think that is all for today. We have done with adjective. Good job, explorer. We have explored all of the things that we have in the world of adjective. And I hope you are going to practice this thing that we learn about adjective. The function of adjective, the forms of adjective, the comparative, the superlative, for regular adjective, for the irregular adjective, and the sequence of adjective in sentences. So with that, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day. Assalamualaikum.